What is going on, everybody? Welcome to an episode of OG55. We got the Italiano, the founder of Citrico Central, in the house. And we got Mr. Webba, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's right, Webba, West Coast Webba. We are we are taking all your questions and comments today on this, Monday evening episode of OG55 Law.
I ain't got nothing to say but West Side.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to this fine episode of OG55 Live. We are back like we never left. We got Mr. Theme Park Conductor in the house, Cassandra, Trey Porter, Matthew Murr, and Jacob Weller. We're going to be taking all your questions, all your comments, talk about anything you want to talk about, whether it be theme parks, studio, streaming, music, whatever you want to talk about, we will discuss it. But before we do, Mr. Webba, it's great having you back, sir. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, OG. You can find me on social media, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, at Mr. Webba91. You can also find me right here on Orange Grove 55.
There he is. And we got the one, the only, the Disney Italiano host of, or founder of Citrico Central here on YouTube, George. Welcome back, sir. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Absolutely. Great to be back. Awesome doing a live with you fine gentlemen. And we got a lengthy stack in the chat already. But yeah, you can find me right here on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And you could also check me out on my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
There he is. All right, let's dive right in. First question of the day is from Mr. Jacob Weller. What is your prediction for Universal Studios FanFest nights? Think we'll have something like in Florida, hopefully? You think they are going to do a Snuggle Tog Christmas on the Isle of Burke? Okay, so Jacob, Universal FanFest, we've talked about it a lot here on OG55. It's a fantastic event. And I really hope they do bring it over there to Florida. I would love for our friends in Florida, our buddy Slimer and Jared from Capture the Magic, everybody we know out there and we love out there in Florida. We would love to have them experience FanFest, at least some version of it, So I'm really hoping they do. And honestly, I think they will. It was a huge success here in California. Universal has shown a hunger for these kind of events. They are taking it very seriously. They want to go head to head with Disney on these events. And honestly, we've talked about it. We're Disney people here, but you know what? You got to be honest. Universal has done a better job, at least so far out the gate, with this event than a lot of the other after hours Disney events. So I do think they will bring it to Florida. Hopefully it maintains the same quality. One thing that we'll get into it, but George, what are your thoughts? Do you think they will bring it to Florida or?
I think at some point, I don't know if they'll get the exact variation of what we got out here in FanFest, but I think they may get some version of it. Which again, I hope they do, but I hope they get also something original because I think, FanFest is something kind of, it gave a little sparkle to Universal Hollywood, so to speak. So again, I want, to show Florida some love as well, but I hope that they get something in the variation, but something kind of different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It should be different. And it has to be different, really, because out here in California, we have a working movie studio, the historic Universal Studios a lot. You can't really do the same stuff over there in Florida. They don't have the Hill Valley set, and all that. So exactly. it would have to be different. So they would have to adjust it. What do you think, Ebba? You've been to FanFest out here in California. Do you think they should bring it over to Florida or should they just make it a California exclusive?
No, I think they should have both because I don't see why you should kind of deprive your East Coast fans of an event like this, right? But I will say, however, maybe if you're going to do a FanFest for both coasts, maybe have different IPs, right? So have some IPs exclusive for Hollywood for that year, and then for Florida have ones exclusive for them for that year. And now here's the thing, you know, they don't have to be the same IPs every year, right? Like if they continue to go forward with FanFest, then they can switch out the IPs. Maybe they can exchange IPs. Like one year we have One Piece. Next year East Coast has One Piece, and we get like Fairy Tail or Dragon Ball Z or something like that, right? So they can like swap them out and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely, I think that they should get a FanFest.
Yep, absolutely. Fantastic question. Thank you so much for that. And we have another question from Mr. Cameron Dolphin. Since we know where Avatar is going, how do you think that land is going to change Oogie Boogie Bash? Because there is no villain for Avatar. There's no villain for Avatar. I think it's going to change Boogie Bash in the sense that I don't think once the land opens necessarily it'll change it. I don't think so. But I do think in the meantime, when they're building Avatar and when Coco starts, I think they're going to have to figure something out with Oogie Boogie Bash because DCA is going to have a lot of construction. And are they going to want to have this event during all that, or are they going to temporarily move it over to Disneyland for Halloween? I don't know. You got to think now. I mean, in October-ish, September, October of 2026, we're going to be kind of in full swing here. You know, we did hear that Monsters Inc. is going to be closing early 2026 to make way for Pandora. So by the time September, October rolls around, a lot of the backlot area is going to be behind walls. Then you also have Coco starting this fall, I believe, which is over there by the Pixar Pier and all that, which is right where the Boogie Bash, the parade comes out. So they can't do the parade. So there's going to be some tough questions over there at Disney, and they're going to have to figure it out. But I think that once Avatar opens and once Coco opens, I think we'll probably see Boogie Bash again. But I think in the meantime, with that construction, it's going to be tough to have it, and they might move it to Disneyland. What say you, George?
Absolutely. I think they have to do some maneuvering. We may not understand what that is, but I think once they figure that out, we're going to look at it and say, oh, that was so simple. Why didn't we think of that? But I feel like it's going to come with its challenges. It's going to be very a complex way of maneuvering, because I do agree with you. I feel like at some point, temporarily, they'll move Halloween over at Disneyland. Plus, it hasn't been over there for a while, so maybe it'll kind of give Oogie Boogie a chance to take a little breather, so to speak, because a lot of people are even saying, is it even worth going to Oogie Boogie, because it's kind of the same thing over and over again. And I actually just did a show with our good buddy Sean, Ranking the Mouse, on Citrico Central, and it was the day that the Oogie Boogie ticket dates were released, and it came up with this little kind of like a cartoon map sort of thing of like where everything's going to be placed, and there's really not a whole lot different that's more of an add-on.
I mean, was there anything different? I just saw the poster, but it seemed like all the same stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same stuff actually, but there was some changes, but for me it wasn't something positive. Like there's no Madam Mim this time, which I thought she was absolutely phenomenal. Sid isn't going to be there on the pier, but they are adding 2 new villains. But again, if you're just swapping out villains, is that a case to say, oh, this is something brand new, to get a ticket for, when, they had the same thing with Villains Grove. They have the same parade, so it's like, is Oogie Boogie really worth it? I wonder if it's going to come back after it goes over to Disneyland, because I think that'll be very popular. I think Halloween at Disneyland, since it hasn't been there in a while, I think it'll do well. But then I do think it will revert back to DCA, because that park has a little bit more edge, and I love what they can do with the villains. But I wonder if it'll just be a different version of Oogie Boogie, or maybe something different that involves a different villain, because as far as like with the parade route and everything, I don't know how that's going to work with that being the entranceway to Coco. And then also they'd have to change the parade route in general, because depending on how Pandora is going to be, if it runs into that land, Cameron's not going to want that. That'll be like an eyesore. That's almost like you might as well should just have the monorail run through it then, because
well, no, you're right. But here is the thing with the monorail, and we're going to do a reaction video to the latest Hey Bricky video about fitting Avatar in that back lot, right? But this is the funny thing about fans, though. in that, and this is just kind of like a self-aware, like where I'm noticing like the fandom, because I'm kind of the same way too. So I'm not like you know, throwing shade or shit talking or anything. It's just kind of a funny observation. A lot of fans are like, well, we can't have a monorail go through Pandora. That's going to break the immersion. Well, we literally have a monorail circling the Swiss Alps over at Disneyland.
Right.
Like, so it's like, but that's okay. Right. But this isn't. It's just weird. And I get it. You know, the monorail, the Matterhorn, 1959, all that stuff. But it's just, in my opinion, I just think it's kind of funny how as fans, we're okay with one thing, but the other thing isn't. I guess nostalgia is one hell of a drug, you know? But Mr. Webba, what say you, brother? Oogie Boogie Bash, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah, so I actually want to ask George. They don't do any type of like decorating or like festivities for like Pandora and Animal Kingdom, right? It's just
no, not
so,
no. They do. They may do something like a fictional type thing that something like the Na'vi can celebrate, you know, but they don't actually like decorate for like Halloween or Christmas or anything. It's just Pandora.
Okay, so I think kind of one concern we can probably have is when you start to build these lands that are representing a certain IP that has certain lore and theming, right? For example, like Pandora, you're not really gonna want to put like Christmas and like Valentine's and Easter and Halloween all up in this place, especially when you have something like Pandora that's like very naturalistic.
Right.
So I think that'd be kind of like odd to see, but then the rest of the theme park, right? Because it's all a theme park, but then the rest of the park, you know, Cars Land's all decked out. The cars have their Santa hats and everything like that, right? Or like they have like their vampire fangs or whatever, right? So I think that's going to be kind of a tricky thing to do. And as for Oogie Boogie, let's say, I think it would be good for Oogie Boogie to not be running for a little while. Let that event take a breather. Have the Mickey's Halloween party back at Disneyland. Do something with that, and then when you come back to do Oogie Boogie, if you do eventually, you can kind of have a couple years to think, okay, how can we spice this up? Because pretty much it's the same event after year after year after year. I think what they should do is go a little bit darker route with Oogie Boogie. How about we get some like mazes, not like Horror Night mazes, but like that style, but like Disney version. So, for example, let's take a maze for I don't know, like Maleficent, right? We go through like her castle, and then like moved by like all like the little gremlins or whatever, right? Or just kind of stuff like that. You know, I think it'd be cool because you get to see the villain, you get to see their little minions and stuff, right? Popping out at you, giving you jump scares. Right? You can put really cool special effects like Universal does.
Well, that's the cool. It's
funny you say that, Ebba, because actually, for the survey that they gave for Oogie Boogie for last year, that was brought up. They actually asked in the survey, what do guests think of if they were to add different activities other than just Villain's Grove? And actually, mazes was one of them.
Well, and that's the thing. You have a park with DCA that you have permission to be a little bit more edgy. The whole point of having a park like DCA is that you can do different things that you can't do at Disneyland. So lean into it. I agree, Webba. Like, it's a great idea. Do the mazes, and they can get creepy. Obviously, you don't want to do like HHN, like, you know, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of style mazes, but you can do something that's a little edgier, right?
Exactly.
But still not quite to the HHN. I think it's a great idea. I would love to see. That's what's frustrating me right now with Oogie Boogie Bash, in that it's a cool event, but they've rested on those laurels. They're not innovating anymore. They're not, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just kind of like burnt out on it. Now, Pete. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, OG, I was going to say, and it's because, again, we always go back to why the fans pay the money over and over again for the same thing for Disney, because Disney knows that people buy it just because, right? There comes to a point where even the diehard fans are going to get tired of the same thing, and they're going to want to see something different in order to go back and experience it. So now 100%. Disney is going to have to, okay, what can we do to make this unique and different, but still Disney, right?
Do you think that they could potentially leave Halloween to Disneyland up until the fact that they start bleeding DCA into the Simba lot?
Oh, I don't know if they'll wait that long, but I think during this 5 years when there's like a construction site, probably. But we don't know when they're going to bleed it. We don't know when they're going to expand into Symbol Lot. That might be a decade out, you know.
Well, I think they'll start. To me, I think they'll actually start doing it once the parking garage is built and the Eastern Gateway.
Yep.
That I feel like that's going to be basically the startup point, because there's no need for them to even have the parking lots there anymore.
That's true. That's true. Cassandra here says, I'm tired of Oogie Boogie. I'm ready to cheat on it with something else. Yeah, Cassandra, I cheated on it back in October. I went to HHN. I had a blast. I had an absolute blast.
That's funny. I had them both.
There you go. Look at George. He's a swinger. Giant Peter Show says, OG, we need a money drop. I miss it. You know what, Giant Peter? I agree with you. It's been way too long since we've had a money drop. Let's go ahead and drop that money. There we go, Peter. That was for you. And yes, it's been way too long, my friend. Way, way too long. Mr. Matthew Murr, all the way from the UK, dropping 20 euros on a two-parter. Matthew, it's always a pleasure having you on the show and in the chat. We do love you, brother. Matthew here says, in the best case scenario where Disney 100 was focused only on Disney animation, how much harder do you think Once Upon a Studio would have gone? I think it'd be able to go harder with the story and music because Disney Animation would be able to dedicate more time and resources to ensure it could go out with an even bigger bang to truly fit the size and importance of the occasion. What do you think? Yeah, you know, here's the thing, Matthew. My kind of overall thoughts on Once Upon a Studio and the Disney 100, and I've said this before, but I'll repeat it again. The celebration was really weak. But I think Once Upon a Studio was probably one of the stronger elements of that celebration. Was it perfect? No. I can go through every Disney animated short, every Disney animated film, every Disney live action, and I can go in what if, coulda, woulda, shoulda the thing to death. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I think we got a good short. Could it have been better? Absolutely. Could everything be better? Absolutely. So, you know, and it is what it is. The short is the short that we got. I'm happy with it. And we're just going to have to live with it. I mean, it's, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. So, Ebba, what do you think, brother?
Yeah, no, I mean, I personally thought the short was great. I actually really liked it for what it was. And again, I do agree with you. I think we said this on the previous show that the celebration in terms of the parks was super, super weak. And overall, the celebration as a whole was kind of weak. However, I do think that for studio-wise, we should have gotten more like animated, like I said last time, you know, give us like 3 new, never heard before, like 2D animated films. That would have been dope. You know, I would have loved that. Wish, George, you talked a lot about it. We watched it. You know, I would say it's like okay to good. You know, it kind of depend on, you know, what factors you want to look at it. I like how it starts and I like the ending, but there's a lot of in between stuff that I'm like, I don't know, the whole villain thing, you know. So, and then banking on that movie as being like, you know, the one in like, right, this being the one in all movies of like the whole 100 years that was a bad move. That was not a good move at all.
Yeah. And any other further thoughts, George, on this? I know we talked about it in the last live, but any other?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. My thoughts still stand on it. I feel like with Disney 100, it should have been more driven studio focus. However, I agree with that, but I do love Once Upon a Studio for what it is. I thought that they kind of did everything they could within the short amount of time. And yeah, and I also agree with him. I think for the Disney 100, that if you wanted to lean into, bring a 2D animated, they still could have done Wish. Right. But on top of Wish, maybe give us like a double feature, have one be, you know, CGI, have one 2D, with Once Upon a Studio, and then also Wondrous, I feel like was the best part that came out of adding Disney 100 into the parks.
100%. Our good friend Starship, it is good to see you. We got to get Starship back on the show. It's been way too long.
Wow.
Way too long, Starship. We miss you. When are you guys heading to Florida as a group? Hope you guys get to see Test Track and Starlight. I'm telling you.
I don't know if Ebba's going to want to go with us now, because every single time we step foot on Florida soil.
Yeah, I crack my head open or George gets a kidney stone. But I don't know. Is Florida ready for a few West Coasters? I don't know. We'll see. You're not ready. You're not ready for these Californians. You know what I'm saying? But
I think Florida got pissed off at me because I converted.
it might be. I think the thing is, George, is like the minute we land at the Orlando International, like Florida can like feel the California, and it like rejects us. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like we're like the virus, right? And like they're trying to like. The whole Florida system is like trying to get us out. You know what I'm saying?
We're tainted.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, when I went there for my first time 2 years ago, we landed Orlando International, and I'm loading the elevator up with the bags, and I slip on a wet floor, and I crack my head open, 5 stitches, baby. It was crazy, but I was okay. I still did the whole trip. And then George, recently, he goes to Florida, lands, and he's got a kidney stone, and he's still giving birth to that bad boy. You had a clever little comment in the beginning of the show before we went live. What was that very on brand, George? Very,
absolutely. I have to keep it on brand, but knowing us of how we're like the Disney buffs, it's like for all of you who have watched The Sword and the Stone. Well, in my case, where Arthur or Wart pulls the sword from the stone, I'm trying to get the stone out of the sword.
Yes.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. It's wild. And our good friend is Florentine says, please, no more accents. Absolutely. Absolutely. And George, you got to meet Florentine in Florida when you were down there.
I did. Yes. He very nicely met Abby and I over at Animal Kingdom. So we got to chat for a little bit. And he also serenaded us with A Whole New World, and so I thought that was really nice. But yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah,
no, and actually, I heard him on Instagram. I saw he had a reel where he was singing the Fantasmic song. Mm-hmm. It was good. It was really good. Way better than I can do. I couldn't sing like that.
Before you answer Kiki and Luca, I just have to bring this up real quick. This is not my sword.
This is not my sword. Exactly. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, so Kiki and Luca. Do any of you like the Dodgers? Okay, Kiki and Luca, I'm going to be really, really honest.
He is the biggest Dodgers fan.
Oh, I'm huge.
He's like down there close to the pit, man. He's ready with his glove to catch a fly ball.
Oh, yeah, dude, I love me some baseball. I love it. I love sports in general. No, I actually, in all honesty, I'm not a sports guy, Kiki and Luca. I don't watch it. I'm a total nerd. Like during the whole Star Wars thing, right, with the sequel trilogy, Disney would always put the fucking Star Wars trailer in the middle of Monday Night Football, and it was like trying to chew through the box to get to the pizza. I hated that. So I'm not a big Dodger fan, but it's nothing against the Dodgers. I just don't really care. But you know what? In spirit, I support the Dodgers because I am a West Coast kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? So any West Coast thing I'm good with. So yeah, I like the Dodgers, I guess, basically because of that, but I don't watch any of it. What say you, Webba? You like the Dodgers?
I like you. And it's funny because I feel like that a lot of people like us don't really at least us three don't really care for sports that much. However, I do, if there is a sport I do like to watch, it would be hockey. And I'm not a huge crazy fan, but hockey is a fun sport to watch. And the team I do support are either the Anaheim Ducks or the San Diego Gulls. But the Gulls are the American League to the National Hockey League for Ducks, so they switch off players. But yeah, so that's that.
There we go. And George, what about you? Any black and yellow?
Yeah, that's where a piece of the East Coast of me still stays. Like, I still support my black and gold city with the Steelers for football, Pirates for baseball, and then the Penguins for hockey. But I'm not fully where I'm dedicated to every game, but I'll watch if they're a part of it, if it's for the World Series or for the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup, I'll watch that kind of stuff. But coming over to the West Coast, I've always wanted to see a Ducks game, and I am a huge fan of the Lakers.
Okay, awesome, cool. Awesome. And we got our good friend, Mr. Lucas Kim, in the house. Lucas, thank you for joining us as always, sir. Appreciate you. Do you think Epic Universe should also do HHN over there besides Universal Studios? If not, which park do you think it would be more appropriate to do it? No, Lucas, Epic Universe is the park to do it. You put all that stuff in Dark Universe, and you go to town with it. That's the land that was like that's made for that kind of thing.
I have to actually respectfully disagree.
Really? Why?
Because here's why. Because I actually agreed with that before going to Epic.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Just kidding. No, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, it's funny. I looked at the screen and I thought at first, why did Ebba go out? And I'm like, wait a minute. That son of a bitch took me out.
No, go ahead.
No, it's funny. The reason why is because the size of Dark Universe. Now, I think that it will work in time if they expand that section of the land. But with it being the smallest right now, it's not a whole lot that I feel like can hold like the HHN caliber that it does at Universal Studios. Also, the beauty part about with Epic Universe, though, that if they do decide to do that, they can block it off into each individual land because of the portals. Because to me, I don't think it would go right with Isle of Burke. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like Epic has like a different feel to it that it just doesn't have that HHN quality. The only way I could see it is if they do something with Dark Universe, but it has to expand major because Dark Universe is not as big as what a lot of people think it is.
What do you think about Slime Square's idea where Darkmoor can work as an add-on ticket?
Okay, see, now like that. Now that you can probably do where, and I do remember Slimer talking about that, where he mentioned, yeah, something along the lines where if during the Halloween season they blocked off Darkmoor for like a specialty, maybe you could do like a kind of like a creepy like Halloween party, like an actual party, like where they have like a buffet thing out and everything or something along the lines like that. Like, or, and then you have like creeps like walking around, maybe you can tour the manor. That would be really cool. Right. But to do a full HHN throughout the whole entire Epic universe, to me, it just doesn't fit right.
Mark McHugh says, do HHN in Nintendo Land and get those boos out to play. Absolutely, Mark. Absolutely. What's that? You
at Luigi's Manor? That would be really cool.
Yeah. We saw Luigi when we were down there, didn't we, George?
We did
a couple weeks ago, right? What say you, Webba?
To the which question?
How much OG loves Luigi?
I'm a Luigi guy, dude. I am all in on Luigi. Absolutely, he is awesome. 100%. But no, what say you about them bringing HHN to Dark Universe?
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, I mean, if it's small, then for a caliber that for the what you have for HHN, if the land is too small, I don't think it would work, right? I would think it would need at least like an expansion or something to then justify having a HHN there. And then I don't know, I think that like Halloween Horror Nights really works like in a studio park, I think. For some reason, it just kind of fits. Like when you go to like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Universal Studios here, yeah, you know, it's like a darker Harry Potter, right? It's just like kind of it's cool, you know, but it's like again when you have these kind of specialty themed lands for IPs, how do you work in like real world like celebratory holidays into them, right? Or events. So that's just kind of my thing. Like, I think that you probably have to maybe in the future start going down to like a road where it's like this particular land IP has its own type of event or something. Because if you look at, you know, again, Hollywood Studios here is kind of just a mismatch of different stuff almost. I mean, I know we have Springfield, but that's pretty shitty. You know, we have Wizarding World, that's cool. But then everywhere else is just kind of like a generic urban kind of setting in a sense. So you can kind of put all that stuff out there. But when you start having a park that has specific driven themed lands, I think that's where the kind of problem lies, in my opinion.
Well said. Well said. We got a friend of the channel, J Brad. J Brad, always good to see you, sir. Always good to see you. Given the book theme of Iowa, they should have horror characters walking around from stuff like Stephen King, Goosebumps, and Junji Ito. Not mazes, but little photo op spots with costumes or statues. See, that's cool. That'd be cool. Bring a little something different to some of the other parks. Why not, right?
And just to emphasize, he said horror characters.
Yes, that is correct. Absolutely. We don't want to be mistaken, Gotta be very clear with the way we pronounce things. Storybook Sorceress here says Epic Universe could work for a kid-friendly Halloween party. Well, that's true. The Nintendo stuff
that would work really well. If you kind of did like the take of like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, that would go, I think, a little bit more better with Epic.
Yeah, 100%. Because you're going to want that counter programming. Like I said, with DCA and Disneyland, you don't want to have the same stuff in all these parks. You want to have
you do both at the same time. So you would offer like 2 separate tickets for the same season, and you just kind of pick and choose. If you want to do a more kid-friendly Halloween party, go over to Epic. Then you could go to HHN for the studios. Because
then you're competing directly with Disney. If you have a family-friendly Halloween event, now Universal is getting the HHN crowd and they're getting the Mickey Not So Scary crowd doing. I mean, kids would eat up a Nintendo Halloween thing. I mean, that's crazy cool. Or How to Train Your Dragon. By the way, that movie looks amazing, but that franchise I think is going to be. That whole live action thing, I think, is going to really revitalize that franchise.
Off the subject, but on the subject, before we move on, for anyone who hasn't seen the live action How to Train Your Dragon, go see it. It is a movie that I feel like is made to be seen in theaters. By accident, Abby and I ended up seeing it in 3D because that's all that was available at the time. You don't have to see it in 3D, but just the movie itself, dare I actually say, I actually would prefer, if I had to pick and choose which version I would watch now, I would lean more towards the live action, believe it or not. The storyline just fits so well as a live action, and it was done with taste. And I love how they brought the same director that directed the animated trilogy, that hopefully he's going to do number 2, and I'm for sure he'll do number 3. But I really enjoyed the live action. They've been, honestly, so far they've been on a live action kick between Disney with Lilo and Stitch and DreamWorks with How to Train Your Dragon. Both home runs.
Absolutely. James Gorgie here says, hot take, Despicable Me is more overused than Toy Story, Frozen, and other animated franchises. I agree. But Universal never gets any shit for that. I don't know why. Like, I remember when Frozen was was a cultural reset. Okay, that movie was such an insane hit. It wasn't even funny. And all the fans were like, oh gosh, Disney's going overboard with the Frozen. Well, it's like, what do you expect? This thing was like the biggest movie in like forever. You know what I'm saying? This thing it was a movement. Of course they're going to lean into that. I mean, Universal would have done the same thing given that kind of success. You know what I'm saying? We've seen how Universal handles their successful animated films with Despicable Me and the Minion franchises. I mean, they have how many sequels to Despicable Me? How many Minion spinoffs? How many? This is what these companies do nowadays. It's just the culture. What say you, Webba? What do you think, brother?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I agree. Despicable Me and those movies are just. I feel like those type of movies, right? What was that one movie that came out and it had like Kevin Hart, The Rock, and it was an animated DC movie. And again, like these type of movies, they come out like kind of kiddie friendly family cartoon movies, but and then they try to be funny. There's no really like good like character emotional impact, right? It's just like they're kind of just there for stupid laughs and just stupid characters. Whereas at least with like Toy Story and Frozen, yeah, it's great animation, great characters, but also it's great music. It has a moving story, right? It's actually like has some intelligence. Whereas these other movies, it's just like slapstick shit.
I do agree. I do agree with you, Ebba, because honestly, even though I prefer the first Frozen over the second, I can differentiate the two of them, that they're still really great stories. There's still really great music. Where with the 4 Despicable Me movies, and I think the 3 Minion movies, 3 or 4, I don't know, there's like 7 or 8 films, I can't differentiate one over the other. Like I couldn't tell you like what scene goes in what movie.
No, exactly. And what I don't like is that they rely on like stupid humor for you to enjoy the movie. Like me personally, I don't like that. Yes, I like to have some like humor or some funny stuff in the movie, but I just don't like stupid shit in the movie just to be funny or try to be funny. That doesn't work for me.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's what I think about that, and that's that.
There we go. We got our friend Mr. Epic Berserker in the house. Always good to see Epic in the chat. Thank you so much, brother. For OG, George, and Webba, we know Avatar and Coco is coming, but what would you put to add to the upcoming new additions between Frozen, Moana, Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph, or Raya? I would love to see Zootopia. If they could put Zootopia in DCA, that's a perfect kind of DCA franchise. Maybe now with Hollywoodland basically being dedicated to mostly Avatar, maybe you do Zootopia in the Simba lot, but Zootopia is where it's at. Raya would also be cool in DCA.
Mm-hmm.
I think that franchise would work very, very well. I actually like that movie. I know a lot of people didn't, but I love there was a lot. It was very much heavily, well, it was heavily inspired by Vietnam, actually, even though it was technically a make-believe world, but it was very inspired by Vietnam. And I just love that. And, so Raya, I think in DCA, Wreck-It Ralph, I think you can replace like Buzz Lightyear with a Wreck-It Ralph attraction. I think Tokyo is doing that, right? So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of options here. So that's kind of the route I would go in. But what say you, George?
I love all these examples because I would actually I would use them all. Wreck-It Ralph, I do agree with you. I would put in like a newly add-on to Tomorrowland, again, replace Buzz Lightyear, Zootopia, Raya, even Moana, I would even say, into DCA. Frozen, I believe, would fit more into Disneyland. I would either put Frozen or my suggestion, Beauty and the Beast, in the where the Fantasyland Theater is and the motorboat cruise area.
Okay, there we go. What say you, Mr. Webba?
Yeah, I agree. I think that like that again, something like Frozen, which is more like your kind of princess fairy tale movie, should definitely go to Disneyland, somewhere in like a Fantasyland expansion or something like that. I however would love to see Moana. Right now, obviously, I'm biased because my wife's Polynesian, but I do think that movie is also very just a beautiful movie as well. The story, but also just aesthetically. Like the island, the water. I think it's super awesome. So I would love to see like a land or something of that. What's cool with Wreck-It Ralph is that if Disney can, because that franchise deals with video games. So what characters could you get inside like a ride or something with Wreck-It Ralph, right? Like for me, he wasn't in there for like a big time, but Sonic the Hedgehog makes an appearance in Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah,
I'm a big Sonic guy. I'm like, hey, give me some Sonic in here, right?
Yep, absolutely. Now, Rook, we'll do Lene Ward's comment, and we have a couple from Lucas and Shane Narani, which I want to address because I was actually incorrect on something, so I want to get that out there as well. But Lene says, "Yeah, you convinced Mark, so now he's taking me on a date to see How to Train Your Dragon in 4DX, baby. Yes. Is there a lot of flying around? How hard should we hold on to our popcorn, George?"
Yeah, it's funny because well, Lene, I'm so glad that you both are going out on a date to see How to Train Your Dragon, and there were moments where even Abby like gripped onto my arm. That there were like a few intense moments that even though we knew what the outcome was going to be, because obviously we both seen the animated film, and it kind of hits beat for beat for the most part, but in a way it worked because again, I feel like this film franchise is meant to be live action. So even though that we knew what was going to happen, Abby still gripped onto my arm, like to say, "Oh my gosh, like is Toothless okay? How are they going to get out of this situation and everything?" Even though we knew what it was, but that's how you know that the film like hit those moments despite it already existing in animation form.
Yeah, well said. Mr. Lucas Kim with the $2 super chat. Lucas, thank you so much, sir. We do appreciate you as always. He says here, Raya is entire South Asia Raya is entirely South Asia, actually. And Shane Narani said, "Yeah, I would say Southeast Asia." So, okay, so it's not just Vietnam. It's South Asia. So just want to
in that case, I would love to see Raya and the Last Dragon come to Animal Kingdom because we do have an Asia section in that park. So if it's fully in South Asia, they can kind of incorporate that, and also since it's kind of based on the dragon mythology, they could bring the dragons back into the park.
Well said. Well said. Okay, so we got a question from XVoot here. Thank you for joining us, XVoot. Sorry, I had the hiccups for some reason. What are your thoughts on Epic Universe expansion permits that Alicia Stella put out on her video today? I didn't watch her video, but I want to, and I will. But this is what she tweeted out today. And by the way, Alicia Stella is amazing. We love her so much. Check her out on her YouTube channel, Park Stop. She does incredible theme park coverage. So make sure you support her. She's awesome. Permits filed for vertical construction as part of the first expansion to Epic Universe since opening. Plus, we have a time frame for phase 2, dining and other future projects confirmed. So you can check it out over here at the OrlandoParkstop.com. She's also on YouTube. After the show today, I will be linking her channel in the description below. So if you're watching this on the replay, it'll already be there. If you're watching it live, just hang tight and I'll put it in there if you're not familiar with her channel, because she does amazing work. But I mean, Ebba, what do you think, dude? Epic Universe already moving in shape. They're making moves over there, dude.
You know what's funny about this is that with this, and probably even going forward too, is that like a lot of companies are like doing a thing where they give you the product, right, the base product, but then soon right after they give you the base product, they already have plans, which were probably already preconceived and pre-worked on for an expansion. You see this a lot with video games nowadays, where like they come out with the game and they already know what type of expansion or extension of the game that they want to create for a later DLC. And so it seems like Universal is kind of doing the same concept there. Is that, okay, we gave you the base park, Epic Universe. Now, of course, we have room to expand, but we're going to start doing this now because we already know what we're going to put.
Well, and also, too, would you mind bringing up Slime Squirt? Thank you. Yep. I was just going to say, this is not even good publicity and marketing to actually have a record speed for a brand new theme park that's opening and they're already announcing expansion. That's great within itself. Oh, yeah. But this also is a strategic move on Universal's part because there isn't too much of indoor attractions. And when Abby and I were down there, anytime that there's a sign of lightning within the range of the park, they'll immediately start closing down the outdoor rides. Well, the problem with that is when you have a park that's a majority all outdoor rides in a state like Florida, you're only going to have 3 to 4 attractions open if it's raining. And if it's thundering and lightning all day, you're going to have a park that's only going to have a capacity of 3 to 4 attractions the whole entire time. So to add more expansion, I agree with Slimer. They have to make a majority of it now, being that the bulk already is outdoors. They have to move indoors.
Well, and George, to your point though, I think that's a kind of another. I don't know if it's a problem, but a kind of a weird thing here, where like again, right, we have these huge, expansive, immersive lands, but they take up so much real estate, and let's say all their attractions are outside, right? Or like half of them are outside. Now you multiply that by how many lands for the park. Now half your park is closed, for at least attraction-wise, where when you have a stacked park like Disneyland, yeah, it's very condensed, but you have a lot of attractions, that are indoors. So even if it's raining or whatever, you still go to have a blast, right? Yeah, you might get Thunder Mountain closed or whatever, but like majority of the stuff you can still do, And speaking of Storybook Sorcerers down here, Legoland has the same issue, a lot of the I think there's about 60 attractions at Legoland, California, but when it's like heavily raining, guess what happens? Most of the park is closed. Right. Because a lot of the stuff is outside, unfortunately. Now, I know that going forward, because we all went, and like a lot of their bigger rides, the more kind of modern rides are all indoors, right? Like that's kind of where the modern theme park creation is going. So I think that in the future, we will see less of that. However, currently there are a lot of outdoor stuff. And again, Knott's has the same problem. But Storybook Sorcerer's OG, right?
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead. Read the question or comment, and let's dive in. This is good.
All right, so Webba, we were just at Legoland, New York yesterday. Such a cute park, and I really appreciated all the kids' free play areas. I think Walt Disney World needs more of those playground areas for littles. George, so I want to ask you this though. For Walt Disney World, right, and for Disney or even Universal, should these parks incorporate more areas for little kids to play in?
I agree, and actually, they're already in the works with that. And I'm glad you did ask me that question because I was going to bring it up anyway. But with Monsters Inc., they changed some of the concept art of what it was going to look like when they showed it to us. I'd say like a couple months ago, and then recently when they put up the walls for Muppet Vision, they added kind of like some changes to the theaters and some of the backdrops and everything. But they also extended out. They're pushing the Monsters Inc. coaster back about 20 feet. So they're going to have some more walking path into the.
There he is. That Northeastern is coming out. That walking path.
But to the left side of it, there is going to be. It looks like a play area, and Braden from Mickey Views was kind of commenting on it that it looks like a play area. They didn't confirm with it, but it kind of has like a tarp thing over it. So it is nice that they have something, if that is going to be for kids that aren't tall enough to ride the coaster, or they're maybe a little bit too scared. There's a play area adjacent to the attraction. Also, they're closing, as of today, they announced it, which I did a Citrus Corner little mini video on it. The Boneyard at Animal Kingdom is closing September 1st. Now, that actually got moved up. That was going to supposedly close later on in the year, but they actually pushed it up to close it. And Disney did confirm there will be a kids' play area for Tropical Americas.
There we go. Remy D here says, I think parks that have thrill rides, it would be smart to have these play areas for parents who have to watch kids. Yeah, I agree with that.
The problem with it is that the more play areas you have, it's like these parks are enticing adults to bring kids. I don't understand it.
well, here's the thing too, right? We can kind of get deep into this where it's like Walt Disney kind of wanted the parents and the kids to have fun together. One of the big reasons why that Walt built Disneyland was because he was sitting on the bench watching his kids on the merry-go-round, right? Yeah. He wanted experiences that everybody can enjoy, like Pirates and Haunted and like, you know what I'm saying? And so this idea of like the thrill rides and then we're going to have the kiddie rides, it's kind of like a little bit like pre-Walt mentality a little bit. But, you know, for me personally, though, I think for example, Legoland, I think that's a fantastic park. We went, all of us together about a month ago. I was really, really impressed with Legoland. I think that they do a really good job at catering to the kiddos. It's not just a quality park with the theme stuff, but it does a good job at being it's like an educational park. They teach kids to get creative and use their head. And I like that. I think there's too much nowadays in this culture. We talked about it a minute ago with the Minions. This kind of this brainless entertainment where you know what I'm saying? You don't get anything out of it. There's like, it's all surface level. It's kind of refreshing to have a place like Legoland that encourages kids to use their imagination, encourages kids to get creative and learn about, the ocean with the sea life thing and all that. I think that's great, man. Go ahead, Webba.
Well, and to your point, OG, that was kind of the whole point of Lego. Why Lego was the idea of it came out in the first place was because it was to let kids, because of course Lego started up as a child's play toy, right? But it came about as, instead of having like, little wooden cars or whatever, hey, what can we do to create a material or whatever to then let the imaginations of the children that they can build whatever that they can think of, right? So again, you're already inspiring that creativity there. Yeah. And so that now transforms into this whole thing. Now we have Legoland. And actually, for everybody out there, I've talked to OG and George. Legoland Shanghai in China is about to open up soon. And we're going to do a arachnid reaction video on that once we get some video footage of that. That's going to be exciting.
100%. Now, Steph here says, this is why when my daughter was little, I really like Universal Hollywood for the Minion play area. I think she had more fun there than at Disneyland. I know Minions aren't really liked here, but the movies are just flat out good. Imagination is consistent. And it's a lot of fun. That's fair, Steph. That's absolutely fair. And honestly, to be fair, we are definitely not the demographic for that franchise. So if the kiddos like it, Universal's doing the right thing, obviously. They are catering to a demo and that demo is loving it. So who are we to say? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Well, and
the sorceress knows what's up. Like, why would anyone bring kids? Like, exactly. Like, I don't get it. It's Disney. Like, why bring the kids? Like, take the kids to some place like substantial, maybe like a military sign up or something. Like, I don't know.
Military sign up. Go ahead, Webb.
Well, what's funny is like that. I've actually read a couple because I follow like a lot of threads and like stuff online, and there's some parents, again, not all, but there are some parents who say like that their kids prefer Legoland over Disneyland because it could be like that Disneyland is just too overwhelming, or again because of their age, maybe there's still a lot of restrictions on them for stuff or whatnot, right? So,
and in all seriousness, I really do agree with that. Like, as much as I would say I'm a Disney buff, any chance you get, go with your family to Disney, go with the kids, introduce it to them. I get that, and I still believe that. But also, too, when you have young kids and the amount price for the tickets, why, if they can't go on anything? I remember when Josh he just turned 6, and we were in line at Universal for the first time, and the ticket taker said, not the ticket taker, I'm sorry, the person selling the tickets, they said, I'm going to be very honest with you. You're going to spend hundreds of dollars to buy your son a ticket when all he can do is maybe 2 to 3 rides at Seuss Landing.
Wow.
So it's like, when you have a young kid, they're really not focused on rides and like what is a thrill. Like, they just like running around, burning off steam, going on a jungle gym. That's all they care about it. So yeah, if you could save money in the process and you can get something out of it, like as Steph was saying, like the Minions area or Legoland, I say go for it.
Yeah, 100%. Now I gotta say too, when we went to Legoland, some of their stuff, I was really expecting like really okay, obviously the park is very kid friendly, and obviously the park is catered to that demographic, and the themes are very well done. They have dinosaurs and ninjas, and like it's so catered to kids. It's wild. But some of the stuff there though actually packs a little bit more of a punch than I was expecting. Like that one Mad Mouse coaster, Eva. Like, dude, the drop on that thing is, that was a pretty good drop, So it was more, I think it's more intense than Goofy Sky School. What do you think?
Well, that, and then there was that damn coaster that was like, what was it called, Ebba? Like, I'm thinking we're about to turn on to the right. Like, that thing would probably knock my stone out.
Yeah. That one was Coastosaurus. And for everybody at home, if you don't know, some really exciting news, and I've been saying over and over, I will keep saying it because it's freaking awesome. Legoland California and Legoland Florida are getting a brand new indoor coaster, Lego Space Coaster. Now, Legoland California is supposed to get that coaster, but also a new flat spinner ride, a redone restaurant, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And like some kid play areas. It's like a whole new little Lego space themed land, basically. And this is the biggest investment that, for just this attraction that Legoland has done. I think between both coasters, it's going to be about $90 million for the company. And it's the first coaster that Legoland California has added in over like 20 years.
Well, 90 million is crazy. That's like almost as much as what John Campia makes on a live show. That's wild.
All right.
That's wild. Lucas Kim here. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. We do appreciate you, Lucas. Question: do you think Disney should respond to Universal with adult horror event in Hollywood studios with 20th Century Fox, Alien, Predator, American Horror Story, and 28 Days Later by licensing from Sony? So now we talked about this a little bit, right, with DCA. You can get a little edgier than you can at Disneyland, but we kind of said like maybe not as crazy as HHN. Now, Lucas is suggesting, you know what? In Hollywood studios in Florida, go all out. What do you think, George?
I think they should, honestly, because to your point, what you were saying earlier, OG, Disney is supposed to cater to all different demographics. If they put like a warning label, like to say this is more of an intense kind of Halloween experience or scare experience, to use your own discretion, and everything. But I think honestly they could do that because, I mean, people had backlash towards Alien Encounter. But here was the problem. They still went on that damn thing. And they didn't have a problem with the attraction itself. It's where it was located. Had Alien Encounter been put in Hollywood Studios and moved out of Magic Kingdom, I could guarantee you maybe not the same ride, but I bet you some sort of variation would still be there to some degree, I would think.
Yeah.
And you can kind of do that. Again, like what Lucas is saying, I'm all for it. I think, honestly, it's just like how Disney's even responding to its streaming service. You know, it's not all about, you know, just kid-friendly, family-friendly entertainment, but it speaks to all different demographics. Why can't you have that in the parks?
Well said. Yeah, no, I think Disney needs to start kind of like thinking outside the box a little bit more. Universal is coming for them with these events. They are coming for them. FanFest was amazing. Okay. Disney needs to start really stepping it up. So this is not a bad idea, you know? So what say you, Webba? What do you think, brother?
I mean, so I can't even fucking talk. I've talked about this before.
Watch your mouth, young man. Watch your mouth.
Yeah, what does this look like? Disney Plus?
All right.
No, we're Hulu over here, George. We're Hulu over here. Go ahead.
So it's not even really just about Disney responding, right? It's about just doing cool shit, doing better. You know, like there's some awesome stuff in there. And yeah, I get it. The competition is always going to be there, but don't look at Universal and be like, what are they doing? Or what are they going to do? What are they going to do next? Like, no, you have the IP now. Freaking use it. You know.
Yep. Well,
it's kind of me. It's not really that complicated, but.
What can you say? What can you say? Maybe is in the house. Hey, cuties. Yeah. What is up?
Back up in your ass with 20.
That was the wrong one. I meant to squabble up. There we go. Well, they're both West Coast bangers, but we got Keegan Luca High Epic Berserker, and we got Lucas Kim with a $5 super chat. Have you guys watched Silent Hill game trailer? If so, this is a Webba one, I think. If so, do you think it'll be mad packed in HHN if Universal adds it to the park? What do you think, Mr. Webba?
So I have not watched it. However, I do know Silent Hill is a very popular franchise. Actually, my wife loves that franchise, and I think that if they brought it to HHN, yeah, it would be a popular one for sure. The one I want Dino Crisis in HHN. So for those of you who don't know, Dino Crisis basically take Jurassic Park 1 and make it more horror based. That's Dino Crisis basically.
So okay, so let me ask you this: Is it kind of like Turok, the Dinosaur Hunter, like that kind of vibe?
No, because Turok was, because I played Turok as well. Turok was like an action horror, I guess you could kind of say, in a sense. Whereas Dino Crisis, I think the first one was survival. It basically take Resident Evil but replace with dinosaurs. That's basically what it was. And on
okay. Cool.
So I've always loved dinosaurs, and I want to see dinosaurs eat people. I want to see half-eaten body parts and stuff like that. Creepy, scary.
Oh yeah.
Music. You know what I mean?
But that's saying, like, we shouldn't visually have to look at that. Like, we should be a part of that.
Oh
like,
yeah, sure, absolutely.
Exactly. Start ripping people's limbs off and like just like throw them around. Like you could sew it on later.
Yeah, exactly. Just watch a raptor come in, eat someone, throw them around. You know, that'd be cool. Yeah.
There we go. Lucas continues here. Webba, they said Dino Crisis is still being turned down by Capcom, according to Resident Evil remake director.
Why? That's so stupid. Like, give us fucking Dino Crisis.
That really is. That is like so dumb. I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but I just feel left out. So
Hey, our friend Epic Berserker here says, I have an interview tomorrow morning and Wednesday. Wish me luck. Epic. All the luck, sir. We are wishing you all the West Coast luck right here. Here we go. 100%. No, you're going to crush it, bro. You're going to absolutely crush it. So keep us updated. We hope you get it. Absolutely. And Slime Square also adds best of luck. And so does our friend Kiki and Luca. So,
sorry, real quick. There was a comment by Slime Square. Can you bring it up? It was about Legoland. It was his thought on it.
Oh, okay. Here it is. Gotcha.
I kind of want your take on this. Like, Slime Square is comment here. Like, do you think this is a very accurate description of Legoland? What you experienced?
Legoland is very reminiscent of Disneyland circa 50s and 60s. Smaller attractions centered around the family. No placating to thrill attractions. Yeah, it was. I mean, Disney didn't really have a lot of thrill. I mean, you got Matterhorn in 59. But other than that, there wasn't any coasters yet, right? Big Thunder didn't come around until the late 70s. Yeah. Space Mountain as well. Yeah, he's right. No, that's a fair assessment with the thrill attractions and everything. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I like this comment too, Lifetime Square, because here's the thing. Legoland's kind of in a weird area, right? Because they are marketed towards a certain demographic age group, but also they're still a young theme park, right? Like California is like they're only 26 years old. So they're kind of caught in this weird space where they're targeting a certain demographic, but they're caught in the middle mix now of like the popularity of theme parks such as Disneyland and Universal, and like the craziness of in-depth theming, atmosphere, and storytelling that these parks are telling. And they're still kind of like surviving off the old way of theme parking, you know? Yeah. And now they're slowly trying to incorporate the new ways. But, you know, I mean, they don't really spend that much money, honestly. Like, I've talked to you guys about it before, you know? So I do hear that there's plans for stuff, you know, but it's very like stuff constantly changes and whatever. And again, it's hard to kind of keep that demographic when you are competing with giants like, you know, Universal and Disney and hell, even SeaWorld, you know, even SeaWorld, like here in San Diego, they're bringing out all the big coasters and stuff like that, you know? So, but yeah, that's want to get my piece.
Yeah, no, what say you, George? What do you think about this? Does it remind you, when we went to Legoland, does it kind of remind you of that vibe of Disneyland in the 50s and 60s? I mean, obviously not as innovative, I don't think, but you know, with the theme, with the thrill element and all that stuff.
The layout, yeah, the layout does kind of give me like that circa 1950s, 1960s, because I think what they used to do back in the day was be heavy on theme, and you're right, like Disneyland is like, you know, the GOAT when it comes to that stuff, but you can kind of get that same personality, so to speak, out of Legoland, where it wasn't like everything is like down to the nitty gritty. It's like, you can't put this here because it's going to interact with this and this, and it's going to be out of place. Where OG, you mentioned it so many times, you stick Matterhorn Mountain in the center in between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, and then you have the monorail right next to it with a lagoon with subs. But you touch that and it's like the holy grail for fans. But if you try to do that in today's time, it's like, oh my gosh, like, how dare you do that? Like, it's so out of placement, and like, that's not great storytelling. So it's like, so it is a difference between what happened back in the day with nostalgia, and then what Webba was saying, like moving through what today's theme parks are considered, you know, appropriate.
Yeah. Now, Lucas and Disney here says Lego Minecraft collabo. When is this actually fully happening? Webba, what have you heard on this?
So since we did that video and about the announcement, there's been no like actual news I've heard of about anything like recently, right? It was just announced that Minecraft and Legoland / Merlin were in collaboration to do some type of like Minecraft like little park or something. I don't really know. I'm assuming there'll be a coaster because in the trailer it came out as a coaster. That's the only thing I can think about it. But I'm very curious because here's the thing: Minecraft is a very huge, successful franchise. I mean, look, we just had the movie that came out. I don't know how well it did, but it's popular enough to have in a movie, right?
You don't know how popular the Minecraft movie is?
That was huge.
It's a little shy of 1 billion worldwide.
Oh, okay. Well, see, there you go. You know, Minecraft is super popular. So, I mean, I think them partnering with Minecraft was a fantastic idea, you know, and I think it's going to make them a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Lucas Kim says if they actually had lava chicken rotisserie in Minecraft world, we'll sell the fuck out. Yeah, 100%, Lucas. 100%. Cameron says here, do you think Destination D23 in a couple months could still give us some Disneyland Park ride land news, even though they just announced so much for DCA? Yeah, I do. I'm telling you right now, Josh D'Amaro wants to make headlines, and he wants to make positive headlines. He wants the CEO job. He's hungry. Josh is so hungry. Okay, he wants it, and I've been really impressed with his corporate maneuvering, and that's what it is. Let's be honest, But he's done a really, really good job, Cameron. So he's not gonna sleep on Destination D. We're gonna get a lot of stuff on there, and we're probably gonna get a lot of West Coast stuff. But what say you, George?
Yeah, I think honestly, it was always this running note that Destination D23 was heavy geared towards Walt Disney World. Basically, since they started making, kind of like park announcements. But I think now, aside from Josh saying he's going to turbocharge the parks, I think he's going to turbocharge the announcements, whether it's at Destination D23 or the D23 fan event next year, coming back here to Anaheim, because we're starting to already see literally dirt is now moving, and not even just dirt moving, but they're now pushing up the dates of when things are closing to start blocking stuff off for construction on all cylinders. And so I could definitely see Josh making waves and kind of pushing himself yet again further ahead of the crowd by making Disneyland announcements at Destination D23.
Yeah, he's doing it, man. He has a lot of momentum right now. I was really bullish on Dana Walden. I do like her. I think she's a brilliant woman. I think she's done a great job in her division. But in terms of the CO race, I think she's fallen behind. I really do. And it's sad to me because I want a studio person running this company. But I don't think she's going to get it. I think Josh has really outmaneuvered her in a big way. Maybe here says, I miss Tommy and theme park conductor. They will be back on the show very, very soon. Maybe I actually did a live show with conductor last night. You can check it out on his channel. It was him and I. We actually did like a live breakdown of the Hey Bricky video. We talked about HHN. It was a really, really good time. But yeah, we love Tommy and we love conductor, and our caboose guy. We got to have him on very, very soon, and we absolutely will.
And pretty soon, too, I will be inviting them both on for a show on Citrico Central as well. So you get double the dose of Conductor and Tommy.
Absolutely. Slime Square here says, watch him announce a Villains Land expansion into Autopia. That would be crazy. That would be wild. But here's the thing, too.
A porta potty over Autopia.
well, and here's the other thing, too, is I think I haven't really been following it too much, but didn't they... There's something's happening with the electric car thing in California. They hit a bump in the road, no pun intended with that. And so I'm wondering if that gets put on hold or ixnayed. I wonder if Disney is still going to follow through with the electric cars for Autopia, because that was a big reason why they had to update the fleet because of California law. But if that gets turned down and that's not going to be a law anymore, are they going to still update Autopia? I think that's a fair question.
I think honestly, whether or not it becomes a law or not, I would have just asked Autopia regardless. But that is a good point. Maybe that would give them the idea of an excuse to maybe have the slow burn rather than just punch at all cylinders saying Autopia is going, because there are people out there that do enjoy it, and nothing against that, but it's a big chunk of real estate. Just Autopia alone could be a mini land.
Absolutely. And real quick, before we move on to Epic's question, which I think is fantastic, Slime Square, I actually, and here, this is going to be kind of like an outside the box kind of thought, right? On paper, Disneyland seems like the automatic thing, like the obvious thing basically for a Villains Land. But what if they change the theme of DCA? What if they change it to Disney Cinematic Adventure? Here's why I think Villains Land might work better in DCA. We talked about it earlier on the show. DCA has permission to be edgy. That's one of the reasons why Oogie Boogie Bash, I think, kind of works. It is a little edgier than what you would see at Disneyland. So if you put Villains Land in Disney Cinematic Adventure, well, you can go way scarier than you could if it was in Disneyland. So yes, on paper, I think it would be great at Disneyland, but I don't know. I think at DCA though, you can have a little more creative freedom. So I wouldn't be totally opposed to that if they changed the theme to DCA though. You know what I'm saying? Epic Berserker here says, do you think D23 next year is going to be as big as the last, or will it be smaller scale? I think smaller. in terms of announcements, because this year was a perfect storm. Josh had to like redeem himself from the last 2 expos of doing a bunch of like what if stuff. And he was also running for CO. So that was a perfect storm of that. This year, we have a lot of big projects now in the pipeline. So I think we're going to get a lot of updates on big projects that were already announced, not necessarily adding more projects to the roster. That's kind of where I stand with it. What say you, Webba? Then we'll go to George.
I think just hold off on D23 for like 4 years. Do it like once every 4 years, and then give us D23. In terms of theme park announcements, you still have like the other stuff, but in terms of like theme park related stuff, I'll be fine waiting 4 years and until they actually have gotten to building something. Because I mean, look at freaking Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. We just got the concept art for that ride, and that ride's almost done. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to see from Disney.
Yeah, that Fast and Furious coaster. I'm telling you, we did a reaction on the trailer and the new artwork the other day on this channel. It looks incredible. I'm not, like I said, I'm not. These coasters aren't really my thing, but Universal is slowly like romancing me. they are romancing me. They are winning me over, absolutely. But what say you, George? What do you think about D23?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be, it's still going to be big in scale. Obviously, I think now that they started it over at the Honda Center, there's no way that they're going to go back. Plus, Disney is capitalizing on that they can kind of upcharge the ticket based off of where you're sitting. And I think just moving forward, they'll just have it at the Honda Center in general. As far as announcements goes, I agree with you, OG. I feel like that it's going to be a little bit more tamer just because everything is already in the works. And then the next set, I think, would probably be 2028, to which Ebba's point would be the 4 years from when they did from 2024. So that's where I can understand where, as far as like announcements goes, that's where I could see Ebba's point of doing like every 4 years as far as like big park announcements, because then you're setting people up to fail that if they are buying these tickets and they're not getting the right amount of announcements that they feel like that they should be entitled to based off of what they pay for, then they're going to come after Disney with that. So they still have to put on a great show, still give us announcements. But to everyone who is thinking about going to D23 in 2026, don't be surprised if you're not going to get the same amount that they did last year, because and I could be wrong and I'll eat crow if I do, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be more of updates. Maybe we'll get the names of the lands, like for villains, and maybe some in-depth look of the attractions. Maybe opening dates of Monsters Inc. and Tropical Americas, because they'll only be closer to like less than a year out. So things like that. But I think the next big wave of announcements is going to come at D23 2028.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Slime Square says, speaking of D23, what sacred cows at Walt Disney World could we potentially see being replaced from 2030 to 2035? This is a big thing. Now, here's the thing, Slimer. Here's the thing. If this Cars Land area is a massive success, which I think it will be, to be honest with you, that's going to give Disney a lot of confidence to kind of do the whole replace the sacred cow thing, isn't it? They're going to see that and go, see, we replaced your sacred cow, the Rivers of America, and it worked out just fine. So that would encourage them. Now, you guys still have Tiki Room over there, right, George? Yes. I mean, I could see potentially stuff like that going away, because they're gonna want to put Moana in Adventureland eventually, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know.
Get rid of that god awful Aladdin's flying shit ride. Like
the Aladdin thing, yeah, and that's something that they should definitely get rid of. But in terms of sacred cows, though, I don't really know. I mean, Tiki Room, I think would maybe be a target for that. Pirates, honestly. Oh, Pirates. Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, Pirates isn't as beloved in Florida.
I know, it's literally circumcised compared to what it's at Disney.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
They just clip the tip.
Yeah, it's not up to par. But here's the thing: fans would go nuts though if they got rid of Pirates. I mean, you would see. I mean, just a few years out of them getting rid of the Rivers of America, and now they're going to get rid of Pirates, even though it's Pirates Light. It would be a major problem.
Yeah.
Everyone in the chat, if you're from Florida or you're, Walt Disney World person, what do you think if they got rid of pirates?
Okay. You know what?
I have to say this really quick because Kiki and Luca knows us. See, everyone hit that lick button.
There you go. Hit the lick button. Absolutely. What were you gonna say, Webba?
What if? And I know they wouldn't do it. What if they reimagined Magic Kingdom's Space Mountain?
See, I don't know if that would be met with a lot of protests, just because I think that's another weak. That's like Matterhorn in the dark. It's a backbreaker. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think that would be okay. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, George? You're more of a Florida guy. Do you think the Florida fans would be upset over
Here's the thing. I think they would be upset with it, but this is a little bit of my frustration because if people would give Disneyland a chance, I don't think they would be upset about it. I think when people just kind of have that tunnel vision of saying, okay, let's go to Walt Disney World for our vacation, which is great. Go to Walt Disney World. I highly recommend it to anybody. But when you don't give Disneyland a chance, you're missing out of like their version of Space Mountain, which is 1,000 times better than Magic Kingdom's.
Right.
So in my opinion, I would be okay with it because I now experience Disneyland. I now experience Disneyland's version of Space Mountain. But to the normies or the, as you say, OG, the soccer moms with the families going down for vacation, they're going to have a problem with it because that's all they know. It's like they only do the one version of Space Mountain. So it's like, oh, don't touch Space Mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas and Disney says Tomorrowland overhaul in Disney World more than Pirates. Yeah, I think that would be very much a welcome thing. You know what I'm saying? And Cassandra said that she licked the button. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Don't forget to lick and push. Oh, geez. Oh man, J Brad's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's take a couple. Oh, I wanted to bring this up actually. Kiki and Luca here says Tokyo Disney is getting rid of Jungle Cruise, Enchanted Tiki Room, Swiss Family Treehouse, and Western River Railroad. So what does that mean for Disney World? Would they get rid of Jungle Cruise? I don't know. Go ahead.
That's where. Oh, sorry, but I'll say mine after you. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So Kiki and Luca, here's the thing, right? It's interesting when we talk about Tokyo, right? Because one, it's not run by Disney themselves, but also two, it's a totally different like demographic and culture there. So they're not going to really have the same hangups that us Americans over here do with Disneyland, or Walt Disney World. So I think for them, and here's the thing too, we know with Tokyo Disney, they're going to like getting rid of that and building like new stuff. It's going to be fucking fantastic, dude. You cannot tell me the new shit they're going to build is going to be some cheap stuff. Now, this is going to be amazing stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And Slimecore says they're not relevant IPs for the Japanese culture, which is true. It's a different culture out there. It's not the same culture as it is out here. So, go ahead, George.
You think, and I forget where I even brought it up. I don't know if it was on here or if it was conductors, but I brought up the fact of saying, how long is the Jungle Cruise going to really stay relevant? Yes, for us as diehard Disney fans, it's a classic Disney attraction. Walt's fingerprints was on it. But moving forward, and I'm not saying tomorrow, I'm not even saying a year from now, take multiple decades down the road. Is the Jungle Cruise really going to be the same as it is now? Because again, that's also another big piece of real estate.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Now, I know we talked about it too. Like I would keep it as a boat form, but maybe do something that's kind of tied into something that people can recognize. Because I was walking in Disneyland and there were two women behind me and they said, oh, let's get in line for that Jungle Book ride. So in their minds, they're thinking, oh, it's the Jungle Book because it's tied to Disney. But meanwhile, it has absolutely nothing to do with the Jungle Book.
Right?
Hey, George. How much would you love if Disney put The Rock in the Jungle Cruise?
Oh gosh.
Get out of here with that. Get out of here.
I love the fact that when the movie first what was like when the movie first came out, I remember the skippers playing a joke and they said, we're coming up for you to see The Rock. and people really thought that he was. And as we turned the corner, and they were like, "There it is, a rock."
Oh, that's actually really clever. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Kiki and Luca here says, if you want to know more about Tokyo Disney, watch the OG55 Tokyo Disney video. Yeah, we did a great video with Kiki and Luca, I would say a few months ago, but it's there. Check it out. Search the channel for Tokyo Disney, and that video will pop up. We had Kiki and Luca on the show. It was a fantastic time.
Which, by the way, Kiki and Luca, keep yourself available, because when we end up going to Japan, you're going to be our tour guide.
Yes. Oh, 100%. 100%. BYMH 2020 says, if Tokyo Disneyland Jungle Cruise is going away, I can see the one in Hong Kong make way for new attractions too. Yeah, I could too. 100%. Actually, from what I've seen, at least just in pictures and like video and stuff, the Hong Kong one is pretty cool. I don't know. I thought it looked pretty dope.
Yeah, isn't that one where like there's one part where it's like this nice rock work and it explodes and water comes out of it or something like that?
They got like all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, it looks really dope. I liked it. You know,
they need to upgrade ours to be like that. Again, all the foreign parks get all the best shit, and then like we get like these little tiny, upgrades. Nothing.
Well, even look at Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi's probably going to get a kick-ass Aladdin attraction. And we get a stupid, dumbass magic carpet spinner ride that's in the center of Adventureland that it doesn't belong in the first place, and you get spit on by a camel, which technically I cannot stand. I don't mind the spit, but not from a camel.
Yeah, exactly. J Brad here says, why is everyone suggesting mole? Oh, sorry, Webba. Go ahead, brother.
No, I just wanted to kind of point out, like, going forward with these new lands, right? Because we see all these great, IP lands in these foreign parks. You know how we always talk about how Disney likes to, we haven't really had a lot of that over here in the domestic parks, right? But going forward, they're going to have to start doing that. So how do you think they're going to like finance this? Like, do you think they'll have to pay it all in one big chunk or break it up between like each kind of quarter? Or
well, I could see Disney, honestly, hopefully I wouldn't mind it if they start having like sponsors like they used to. Before. So actually, because it even started with Walt with the 1964 New York World's Fair. I mean, to the fact of that, literally WDI can literally just get the check and do what they do best, and they don't have to worry about budget cuts or we have, we can only give you so much here for this quarter and so much. I think and a lot of people put that on Imagineering, and a lot of times it's not Imagineering. It's the big wigs that have to sign the checks at the end of the day. But if you get these other companies or other theme park investors to kind of forefront the money, I would be all for it.
Yeah. Now, Teo here says, I can honestly see Star Tours going away on both coasts by 2030, 2035. Now, we did a great video with Mr. King Coaster. Which I thought was a really great video. Again, check it out. If you search on OG55, you'll find it. But we did a whole show about that, about Star Tours going away. But I mean, with this whole thing with Smuggler's Run and being updated with the Unreal Engine 5 and the Mando and Grogu and all that stuff, like I think that Star Tours is really becoming a thing of the past. The biggest selling point for Star Tours is the fact that it's randomized or whatever, and you can go through different adventures. But now they're gonna be able to do that now more and more with Smuggler's Run, right? Plus, I gotta say, man, I don't think Star Tours has been the same since they got rid of my boy Rex. Since they got rid of my boy Rex right here. When they got rid of Rex, dude, I'm like, whatever. Now he's a DJ over in Batu. You can get rid of Star Tours. You know what I'm saying? If he's not in it, what's the point? Come on.
Here's my freaking huge problem. I've talked to George about this plenty of times. A couple of problems with Star Tours. One, they got rid of Rex, right? Why do we have Ding Bathead, C-3PO in the cockpit, right?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
And then two, yeah, I get you got fun with the multiple different places, but I would prefer if we had multiple destinations of one ride cycle. So instead of going to your mom's house, your grandma's house, and your cousin's house in one trip, you go to one place and you have an adventure there. So let's say you have 20 destinations to go to, you have 20 full-on experience destinations. Not like you're going through 4 of them in one setting, right? Because then I would like to see a more cohesive storytelling element for this ride. But
That's fair.
anyways.
That's fair. No, Cameron here says it should be Elio for Star Tours. Now, here's the thing. I don't think Elio's tracking that well in the box office. Unfortunately, it looks like a pretty cute movie, but yeah, if it doesn't do numbers, it's probably not going to be Elio. But I'm open though. I mean, if they want to do Wreck-It Ralph or something else, that's fine. I just think that Star Wars has its own land. We have flexibility with Smuggler's Run now with the different adventures and what have you. I don't think we really need Star Tours. And like I said, my boy Rex, he got a new job, so there's no point in having Star Tours there. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll take like a couple more and then we'll get out of here. Lucas and Disney says Cameron gonna upset thousands of Star Wars fans. Mr. James Cameron. And then Ben says Wall-E in Tomorrowland, please. Oh, I love Wall-E. Can we just talk about how great Wall-E is? I think that's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
One of Pixar's best, you know what I'm saying? And that would fit perfect in Tomorrowland. Would you be okay with that, George?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you basically run Disney. You have so much special access. So
I know. I should just like put it out there because everything that I end up saying, they end up doing anyway. But yeah, I would definitely put in Wall-E somewhere in Tomorrowland. That would fit so well. And then, of course, with Fantastic Four, that's even tracking. I mean, the ticket sales for that already is this. I think this is going to be a monster hit of the summer blockbuster for sure. But I know they can't do that for Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland right now, but for Disneyland, Fantastic Four would work well in Tomorrowland. And then also too, with as far as Elio, yeah, they're not I think they're like looking somewhere between like a $26 to $34 million domestic opening, which again, unfortunately, I hate to say, I was kind of already anticipating that because this was a situation sort of like The Good Dinosaur that it's just been on and off, through pre-production and post-production and all that. Like it's just been going through so much.
I actually like that movie though. I thought Good Dino was so cute. I don't know. I liked it, but I'm like in the minority with that opinion.
Yeah. But and you might even enjoy Elio. Now I'll get to see Elio tomorrow, so I'll be able to give my thoughts on it for sure, because I always like to do an out of theater reaction to it. So definitely look out for that on Citrico Central.
There we go. Lene Ward says, has Tomorrowland ever actually been good? It's funny. This is actually one of the most realist questions. And it's like so true. Has it ever been good? Even when the park opened, it sucked. Like it's always sucked, kind of, right?
You know what? It has been good. I'll tell you when. It was good when we had original Star Tours. When we
People Mover. When
we had I like this version of Space Mountain better than the original version. That's just me. And also when we had Honey, I Shrunk the Audience playing in the theater.
That's fair.
Okay. And when the launch bay wasn't just some dumb launch bay theme. It was like the Interventions. I didn't really like that theme either, but at least it was something better than launch bay than what it is now. So
basically what you're saying is Tomorrowland was much better when things were opened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Being open and being utilized. Yes, of course.
Yeah, 100%. Now, speaking of Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, one of your intros on your shows, Ebba, gives off the theme song vibes to Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, right? I love that. It's just like totally Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. Absolutely. But we got Slime Square here. I love it when Disney fans demanding original animation don't actually go to the theater for original animation. Yeah, I know. We all want original stuff, and then no one shows up to it, right? It's like, what are you going to do? That's why they keep doing Inside Out. And all these other, because that movie made $1 billion, yeah, 100%. And Storybook, thank you. At least there's two of us that like that movie. I love The Good Dino. I thought it was a really, really cute movie. Lucas and Disney says, Wallin' Ballin' is saying Elio's fallout was because of ugly character designs past several years. Thoughts? I don't think so. I actually like when Pixar dabbles into different styles. How much more real can you get? I mean, there comes a point when like you just look like live action. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that Pixar is using CGI to have different styles of animation. Disney used to do this all the time. The animation styles in the 50s, when you watch the Mickey Mouse cartoons in the 50s, it was a very different style than that in the 70s and a very different style from that in like the 30s. Disney has always done different styles of animation. I think it's good. I think it's healthy. I think it's creative. So I have to respectfully disagree with Mr. Ballin. But what say you, George?
Yeah, I agree. I don't really think that's, I mean, even though it was mentioned maybe on social media, I don't know. But for me, I feel like the same kind of art animation that they use for Despicable Me or Minions, but those are billion-dollar movies. That's why they keep on making them. So for me, I don't really necessarily think it's the animation. I just think, even though it is original, and as I said, I'm curious to see it, I'm excited to see it, but I just think it's just something that was kind of like off-putting for so long. And I feel like that it's when you drive something and you make it linger and everything, it's people start losing interest. And that's actually what is concerning to me about Avengers Infinity Defense. For how much that this thing is like on again, off again, changes this, changes that. It's like at the end of the day, do people are they even going to really even care?
Well, I don't know. I have a deodorant stick in my bathroom named Infinity Defense. So we'll see how it we'll see how it measures up to that. You know, we'll see. Remy D here says it's not the Disney fans; it's the general audiences that are not going to watch original stuff. Well, that's fair too. Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Everybody, I want to. Oh, actually, before we go, I got to bring this one up too. Hold on, where was that? Right here. Yes, a lot of Disney fans were mad at George for taking away the red car trolley. Yeah, I'm mad at George for that too. I love my trolley.
Yep.
What the frick, George? What the frick? All right, so. Oh,
sorry, bro. I had to.
No, absolutely. But everybody, I want to thank Ben Zacuto, Lene Ward, Mark McHugh, Lucas and Disney, Shane Narani, J Brad, maybe Epic Berserker, Teo, Storybook, everybody, Kiki and Luca, Slime Square, everybody that joined it, Cassandra. Cassandra's absolutely hilarious. We love Cassandra. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for joining us on this Monday night edition of OG55 Live. And well played, George. I like that at the end. That was fantastic. If you want to remind everybody where they can find you on social media, and everybody at home, don't forget to subscribe to Sit Trick Co Central on YouTube. Go ahead, George.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, OG. This was great. I love having the chat with you fellas and everyone in the chat. Definitely always a good time here on Orange Grove 55. But yeah, you could actually find me, right here on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And as OG said, please definitely check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55, where basically we're boots on the ground. We're doing vlogs inside the parks at Disneyland, Universal, on the Disney Cruise Line. OG, I do have to remind you, everyone is requesting for you and I to do a walk and talk back in DCA with.
Oh, we're doing it.
Do an avatar and do more bar chats and everything. So definitely a lot on the horizon for Citrico Central. Also, too, we are working on a little something for you guys to kind of have an interactive kind of game while we're going live in the parks of Where's Abby? So it's your job to find her while we're walking around, and we're not going to know where she's at. So
I've never heard is this a new thing? I didn't get the memo on Where's Abby.
Yes, we literally came up with it yesterday, where I think it was Giant Peter's show that said, "Where's Abby?" And we thought after we were done with the live, that's actually a good idea. If I go live at the parks, but it's just me, and we'll give hints out of like where Abby is in the park, and they have to kind of keep track of the clues and everything of where she could possibly be.
That's fantastic. But you know what the game I love, George, is Where's George? I'm just kidding. Fantastic live show, everybody. Thank you all so much for hanging out and hanging out with us. We do appreciate you.
Webba has to go.
Webba has to what?
He has to say where he like his.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, Webba. I completely forgot, brother. Where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
You can find me on social media. Well, Thank you so much for having me. You can find me on
You see,
Instagram.
this is what he tried to do. See, he tried to one-up me by taking me off and then ending the live.
And then cutting the lights early. Go ahead, Emma.
Early, like this. You know,
Cut the lights.
you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads at Mr. Webba 91. You can also find me right here on Orange Grove 55.
There we go. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna cut the damn lights and get out of here right now. Let's go.
Cut the lights, cut the lights, cut the lights, cut the motherfucker.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.